When you build a community, you want to have everyone feel like they're welcome and they're a part of something great. And that really sets the culture of the group, and other people sort of follow suit. Because you never want to be hostile towards anyone. You want to be open arms, caring. And it starts with the founders and the moderating team, that how people view the group is how they view us.
Welcome to the Kind Boss podcast, brought to you by Outsourcing Angel, an Australian-based social enterprise that specializes in helping business owners free up their time and reduce staffing costs, while helping to create employment opportunities for people in developing countries. Visit outsourcingangel.com today. Now, let me welcome your host, Linh Podetti.
Hello, kind listeners. I'm your host, Linh Podetti. Today, we'll be speaking to our kind boss, Bryan Pham, founder and CEO of Asian Hustle Network and Crushing It in Real Estate. He leads both companies with a desire to bring together communities of like-minded individuals. Together with his co-founder, Maggie Chu, they host the Asian Hustle Network podcast. His motivation is to inspire Asian entrepreneurs and encourage them to share their knowledge to provide the foundation for future generations to succeed. Bryan is also the Director of Strategic Partnerships at Startup Bryan Berkeley that brings together an ecosystem of VCs, angel investors, and aspiring entrepreneurs. He is an active angel investor and real estate investor and has been featured on Bloomberg, Business Insider, Next Shark CGTV, and LA Times. Listen on as he shares how he uplifts Asian entrepreneurs around the world and helps them achieve their goals of having better presentation in mainstream media and upper corporate and investment ladders. Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Kind Boss podcast. And today my guest is Bryan Pham, all the way from America. Welcome.
Hey, Lynn. Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Well, I met Bryan because I was invited. I don't know who invited me, but I got onto the Asian Hustle Network. Now, I have always dreamt of this group, a group where all of us Asians kind of hang out in there. And you kind of made that dream happen for me. All I had to do was join. So thank you. And I want you to, share with me the story behind that. Like, have you been wanting to do this for a long time and then did it, or was it like a spur of the moment?
Definitely. So this is something I've been thinking about for a long time. So my background is I do real estate investing. I also do a little bit of tech investing as well. And for me, being a part of these two worlds, I'm just like, wow, like there's not enough Asian representation out there. I always felt as a community, like we don't speak up enough. We don't put ourselves out there. Like we're kind of against personal branding. And I wanted to change all that. And I've been talking to Maggie for a couple of years about it, my co-founder. She's also my girlfriend. We should just build this community that we can support and uplift each other. So that's basically the origins of the Asian Hustle Network.
Yeah, like did you plan a long time and then did it, or was it kind of like decided and then went really quick?
Yeah, so we planned for a couple months in terms of how do we structure this community so we treat it like a business from day one. You know, we did not want to be a victim of our own success. We always thought big from the very beginning, you know, like we always thought that we're going to be a 1 million member group, and we planned for it. So back when we only had like 50 to 100 members, we had 20 to 25 moderators on the team. And people would ask me, why do you have so many moderators on the team? I said, when we grow really fast, we're going to need all of them. You know, mentally and prepare yourself for the highest expectation ever. And you hold yourself to a higher standard too. And that's a part of our recent success.
Yeah, and if the audience don't already know, you've grown to nearly 60,000 members within the 6 months. It's only been 6 months, but it's just growing strong. And apart from the growth of the numbers, I just find that people are very engaged and people are very like sharing their stories. So what are some of the, I guess, key tips that you would say for someone wanting to build a community? Like what were some of the winnings or strategies that you used?
Definitely. When you first start a community, you have to start with a big goal. What is your mission statement? What are you trying to accomplish, you know? And for me, you have to set a big, reachable goal as well. So we set our first goal to reach 1 million members. And there's something about the psychological meaning behind that. When you see a number and a goal that you feel like so ludicrous that you can't reach it, his human nature is like, oh, what if he's crazy enough to reach that, you know?
And what was there a time frame for this, or was this just like a 1 million one day?
1 million in 1 month originally. We said like super crazy. We just watched the group exponentially grow, and we're continuing to grow quickly. We're hoping to somehow hit that number sometime next year.
Yep.
But we're still crazy enough to believe that we can do it.
Yeah, and it's so relevant to one of my posts on Facebook today because it was about having faith and being able to set your big dream. And even if people were saying, no, you can't do it, you still believe in it. But then you also have to be unattached to the goal. Like as in, if, like you said, you didn't reach 1 million, you didn't go, okay, I'm going to give up, I'm going to stop. You kind of move that goalpost moving on because you're going to get it. It just, we're not God. We can't really determine the time frame, right?
Right.
So knowing what you know now, when do you think 1 million will be hit? Just a guess.
Oh man, I'm hoping by the end of next year things go well because now we're leveraging other platforms to promote the Facebook group.
Yep.
And I think if you were to do it from the Facebook group alone, it's very difficult. It's very unicorn-like, like subtle, like SAT. They only had a Facebook group, but they grew to like 1.7, 1.8 million now.
Wow.
That's really difficult. So I think for us to reach that number, you need other avenues to help you promote the group as well.
Well, yeah, this is an avenue right here, right? Being on this podcast. Now, so apart from the big goal, what are some of the other strategies?
Definitely. So when you build a community, you want to have everyone feel like they're welcome and they're a part of something great. So psychologically, coming from a real estate background, just by addressing people by their first name is super important. But just by saying simple things like, hi, welcome, it makes you feel like you belong to a community. And that really sets the culture of the group and other people sort of follow suit. Because you never want to be hostile towards anyone. You want to be open arms, caring. And it starts with the founders and the moderating team, that how people view the group is how they view us. And we only onboard very happy, supportive people inside our team.
Yeah. And so what did the first day look like with the AHN group?
Yeah. So first day we launched the group was trying to figure out our color schemes, our logos, like making sure that it's like, is it friendly enough? It's not friendly enough. I think Maggie and I were like debating for the longest time, like, is this the color that we want? I'm like, okay, this is the color that we want, so we went with that. And then after that, just setting the mission of the group immediately. Like once people started joining in, they're like, this is our mission. We're trying to uplift and unite all Asian entrepreneurs around the world. And that's our goal. When people saw that, it just started growing exponentially since day one.
Yeah. And did you kind of set up, because I know when people join, they start to talk about themselves and it's a long thing. Was that just like someone else seeing someone else and then they just did that kind of same similar intro? Or did you kind of set up the rules around how to introduce yourself?
I didn't exactly set the rules, but instead I told my own story. So I was one of the first posts that I shared a lot about my personal life. And mine at the time, it was like 50 to 100 people in the group. And I was really, really, really nervous. So hats off to everyone introducing themselves right now. Like I wouldn't be able to have the guts to do something like that.
Yep. Is there any other things that you need to do to keep the group engaged, or is it purely like a kind of generated content that everyone just starts to generate straight away? Or did you have to kind of ignite that content generation?
We had to ignite the content generation. I think at the very beginning, it took a lot of me just personally DMing my close friends. Like, hey guys, can you share your story? Because no one else is sharing their story, But after a while, like people started catching on, and we realized that we were bringing a human element to our group. That's extremely important for people to feel like they belong to something greater.
When the group is small, of course, you can spend a lot of time and you can probably reach to everyone. But I'm assuming with 60,000 people now, there's so many, and I know you have moderators, and how much time do you personally spend? Or did you have to cap yourself, like, I'm only going to spend this much hours a day? Yeah,
I really had to cap myself. Otherwise, I find myself on my phone all day long, reading everyone's messages, doing all the moderation. But we're turning Asian more into a corporation right now. So I really need to spend more time on like managing my team and getting our stuff into place so we can turn ourselves into a corporation so we can help more people. Yeah.
And so at the beginning with those moderators, are they like your friends that just sort of put their hands up and say, I'm going to help you? Did they kind of stick through their role, or did they kind of say yes and then some people were too busy to kind of do it and some more?
At the very beginning, it was our close friends that we really trusted, that were our happiest people that we know. But after a while, doing this without any compensation or pay, it burns them out. So after a while, we had to rotate people around, and we took in referrals too. Like we took in their friends and their friends, and we gave them like 4 month rotations. Like working, and in return, you get to be exposed to all our events. You could post a little bit about yourself. Just really get the name recognition out there.
Yep.
coming from the very beginning, yeah, this is the type of role that would burn people out in like 1 or 2 months, you know?
Yeah, and because I know you from AHN, but I can just see you come from a good place and heart, and it would be so difficult for me to stop working because you're kind of like, oh my God, I just want to respond to that person or that person. And I assume it's kind of really challenging to go, okay, I got to stop and focus on something else, right?
Yeah, it's extremely difficult because for me, I love reading stories. I love interacting with all the members. But I have to think in a bigger term too. If I want to continue creating impact for the Asian community around the world, I have to focus on the business itself and focus on myself. And that way I can help more people.
Yeah. And where did this drive come from, helping people? Were you deprived of anything when you were growing up, or coming from a place of lacking love? Because I know I was that person, right? And because I didn't have the love for my parents and then I just grew into this love for, I helped myself, so now I'm going to help everyone else. What was your story behind helping
I think that's similar to all Asian kids, right? Being deprived, your parents never saying they love you.
And no sorry.
Yeah. And for me, I always felt like I have a good place in my heart for people. I mean, even when I was younger, I saw this old man across the street and I'm like, I just got out of the car and just started walking him across the street too. And I never expected anything in return, you know? That's just the type of person that I kind of grew up as, and just really more caring, but more into the business world. And I felt like people here have a lot of different intentions. I felt a need for us to build a community even more to support each other, you know? And seeing how fragmented the Asian community is around the world, that gives me more motivation to unite us under one umbrella.
Want to make a difference in others' lives? Join us in providing food, medical supplies, and daily living necessities to tribal communities living in extreme poverty in the Philippines. For as little as $50, you can feed a whole village and have peace of mind that 100% of your donations goes directly to those in need. Be a part of our OA Love projects and visit outsourcingangel.com.
Why do you think us Asians, is it mainly because of the upbringing? Like, is it because our parents was just such a big influence on us that kind of, maybe we also sabotage ourselves, but there's a big influence from our parents that made us kind of like all scared in the world? Or was there other reasons that you think that is dominant?
There's multiple reasons, right? Because as our parents were growing up, there was a time of war, like poverty, and, you know, seeing how they got mistreated in different countries really left an impression on them. They never saw themselves as under one umbrella. It's like me versus you type of mentality. Whereas us is different. We grew up in Australia, Canada, America, whatever. We're all under one Asian umbrella now. So we don't see ourselves more of a separate. So it's a mindset thing.
And then, but you can see that we're probably getting better, right? Like, as in over time, it inspired me to be an Asian actor as well. Cause I'm like, oh, there's not many Asian actors out there. But when I'm actually in it, I can actually see there's still a fair bit of people. It's just that, you know, when you're not focusing on an area, you don't see as much, but definitely there's more room to grow in the Asian community. But throughout your whole, I know you've been an entrepreneur for a while too, in real estate and all that. What have been some of the challenges in business in general that you could share?
Definitely. I think challenges in business initially is finding the right connections, finding the right resources and mentorship. That's extremely important. I think knowing all of that, the money will come. If you kind of know exactly what you're doing, you just go out there and raise money for your business that you believe in. So that's extremely difficult. And that was one of the problems that I wanted to solve with Asian Hustle Network, because I felt like contrary to us, like even back in college, my roommate was Jewish. And I was really surprised at how many resources he has access to through the Jewish community. When he asked me, wait, you guys don't have that for the Asian community? I'm like, no, like we typically have that if I'm Vietnamese and I went to a Vietnamese group, or Chinese or Korean or Japanese or whatnot, you know? But there's not like this one umbrella that took care of us all. And that was something that I kept thinking about even 10, 11, 12 years ago.
Wow. And so when you're saying it's the Jewish community, like what does it actually look like? Is it like a online group or is it a organization? What is these resources?
They just have a lot more support for each other, and they're really tight knit. And when I saw that just by living with him, I was really impressed by it.
And you're right. I think we kind of stick to our actual race. Yeah, like we're Vietnamese, kind of Vietnamese group, but then we forget to kind of integrate that we're all Asian. We're very similar because my business, I hire a lot of Filipinos, right? And I'm not Filipino, but yet I connect with them so well because we're Asian and we just think alike. So yeah, you got a good point there. Talking back about community. So if someone wants to start a community today, I guess like what is the right mindset around building community? Like, cause I know sometimes people set a community for, I don't know, for the wrong reason, right? For just, I don't know, maybe make themselves more famous, make themselves more rich or whatever. But I guess I want you to inspire people to set the community in the right way. And what would be some of the mindset around that?
Just understand that it's a journey, it's a process, and don't underestimate the amount of work that goes into it. This is a really test to see how passionate you are about your idea and your community. Because once this becomes less fun and more work, are you still going to continue pushing through? Does this thing really matter to you? When people reach out to you, are you still going to help them? And those are things that you have to solve first internally before you start a community.
And the benefit of all that is I started to see that you've been able to connect with Eric, is that from LinkedIn and then some other successful people. So tell me some of the journey for that. Like, was it because of your platform that you're able to connect with them, or did they actually come in and go, hey, I want to talk to you because you've got a community that I want to reach out to?
Yeah. Everything happened because of the Asian Hustle Network. Just me meeting the right people and they're connecting me to their connections. And you realize that you're only 1 degree separation from all your idols. And that really blows my mind too, because even this time last year, like if I were to ask them to talk to me, none of them would make time to talk to me. So I think that a lot can happen in 1 year, and you should never underestimate how much can happen in a short amount of time.
Yeah. Amazing advice there. Well, I'm going to break it up with this segment called the high five. This is where I'm going to ask you 5 questions and you just have to choose a this or that answer, but elaborate on your answer so we get to know Bryan a little bit. Number 1 is red wine or white wine?
I like red wine. I just like the taste better. And I'm kind of like the opposite of Maggie too, because she likes white wine. So every time we have to be red. So
you never share a bottle? So you never share a bottle? You kind of like have to get each other's, get
we
your
rarely
own
share bottles. We just get different glasses.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Number 2, happiness or success?
Happiness is more important. I think that certain point of success, if you reach the pinnacle of success, if you're not happy, then what's the point of success?
Before, I used to want to be the skinniest. I used to want to have more money and that. And then when I started to get it, I realized that, okay, it's not actually fun. Were you kind of that same journey where you're looking for that success, thinking you'll be fun, and then you found out, or you already knew to be happy?
I was very similar to you.
Yeah.
I've gone into business because my parents, when we grew up, we didn't have a lot of resources. So money was always in my mind. Seeing how little we had of it growing up and wanting to take care of my parents, I was more focused on money.
Yeah.
And when I reached a certain level of success, I realized there's so much more to the world that I was missing out of.
Yeah. And, whenever I see friends that are just hustling, working so hard, but forgetting to have fun because they said one day when I get this, I will have fun. I'm like, don't, it's not going to be that good, but they won't listen to me. And I feel like sometimes in life they have to go through it themselves to know that it's just never stop. Yeah.
Success doesn't mean happiness, but happiness sometimes means success.
Yeah, and I kind of say, like, you can still do it, but at the same time have fun or be happy. Don't kind of keep on working so hard, like burning themselves out. All right, number 3, 1 million fans or 10 loyal friends?
10 loyal friends. It's crazy because you can have 1 million fans, but you still feel extremely lonely because no one can talk to you, no one can relate to you, and no one can really understand what you're going through. And you feel really isolated. So having 10 loyal friends that you can hit up anytime, talk about anything, it's more important to have quality over quantity, pretty much.
Yeah, and I think it's a really good message we need to send to younger people or people getting out there with Instagram and TikTok. It's not really just the number of followers and things. You gotta have to build the connection with the people that are your fans and stuff as well, and it's more deeper. But anyway, good answer. Number 4, Porsche or Maserati?
That's a good question. I like Porsche.
Yeah.
Because I have one.
Oh, yeah. Which one? Say the model out. So I don't know anything about cars, but say the model out.
I forgot what it's called. I think it's 918 or something.
You forgot? Did you buy it or Maggie bought it for you?
That was my idea, but Maggie picked the model.
Oh, that's why you did. As long as it's got the Porsche sign, that's it. All right. 5th, grit or curiosity?
Ooh, this is a tough question. I think curiosity would be more important, just because if you're asking the right questions, you're igniting your passion, you become more gritty because you believe in it.
Wow, I love that. That is so quotable. That should be right there at the famous quote from Bryan Pham. Okay, thank you so much for answering those. See, we got to know you more. I want to go back to your dream of changing the world. Like, what is going to happen in the next few years? I know you've already started the podcast. I was inspired by you and your heart that I was like, I want to help you if you want to do stuff in Australia. And I'm sure you've got people reaching out in other places. So what are some of the upcoming dreams apart from the 1 million goal, right? It's like, what else?
Yeah. So I really want to continue showcasing, uplifting the Asian community. And I really see Asian Hustle Network as a hub to do that. So if you're first starting out, you come here to find a mentor, you find resources, people to help you get started, because getting started is the hardest part. And also I want to see the people that came from the group become successful, come back to the group to give back to the newer people. So essentially we're establishing the foundation for our future generation to succeed. And we're continue doing that, voicing ourselves. And we're also building like a marketplace on our website pretty soon that will allow people, entrepreneurs, to list their services, list their products, because there's nothing quite like that out there yet. So that's kind of like the dream vision right now.
I love that. And because you're already kind of prototyping that within the community. I know when the COVID was happening, you're like kind of rallying everyone and getting people to support each other's business. So it was like, I knew you were just always driven by the heart, because you didn't have to wait for the website to be done to do it. You were already doing it internally. So wow, amazing. Okay, well, another question I have for you, since this is a Kind Boss podcast, what does a kind boss mean to you?
Kind boss means that someone's very open-hearted, that they're willing to help you without expecting anything in return, and you just want to see the world become a better place.
Oh, nice and simple, but like powerful. What do you want the world to remember Bryan Pham for?
That's a tough question. I mean, for me, when I do this type of stuff, I don't really expect anything in return. So it's a tough question for me to answer. If someone were to remember me, I want them to remember me as someone who set the foundation for other generations to succeed, and really thought about the problems that we're faced right now and make a difference, you know? Like by the time I get old, I want to see a lot more successful Asian entrepreneurs inside mainstream media. Whereas in like, we go out to like watch a movie and we see a main star that's Asian, it's not a big deal. We see a politician that's Asian, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
You know, I want to see more of that.
Wouldn't it be cool one day it'll be like an Asian American president? Because right, it's never happened before, but that would be interesting. Yeah, you've definitely already done so much for people, including myself. I've met so many amazing members in the Asian Hustle Network. So if you guys are listening to this, go to Facebook. It's Asian Hustle Network. Is there any other channels or things that you want to mention to the audience too?
Yeah, so we also have a YouTube channel as well. We record inspirational stories in a spotlight series. Asian Hustle Network on YouTube. We also have the Asian Hustle Network on Instagram. My personal Instagram is Bryan Pham. Just search me up. I'm always here to respond to you guys and help you guys out.
Awesome. You are like a monk in a suit. Like your energy, your soul, you're like a walking monk. I mean, a professional business monk. Thank you so much, Bryan, for being with me on the podcast today. I had so much fun, and thank you.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for joining our podcast today. We hope this interview has inspired and humbled you to be a kind boss. Please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and let us know what you think about our show. If you have any questions, please visit outsourcingangel.com. Until then, stay kind and spread love.